of what exactly the scaled agile is. And let me just share my screen and we'll start talking about what exactly the SAFe is and what are the different certifications we have, what the new changes we got from 4.6 to 5.0. And if you have any questions, I'll request you park the questions for now, and we can answer all those questions at the end of the session. Ready? Okay, so let's begin and we'll try to understand. We'll just jump into the main point to try to understand what exactly the scaled agile is. We know we already are working as a team, and there can be two different kinds of fundamental teams we have. One can be a Scrum team, another can be a Kanban team, and I believe everyone you are aware of that. So this is just a team, and when every team they work, they have some sets of roles. We can have, for a Scrum team, we can have product owner, Scrum master, and dev team. That's very well known, and I believe everyone you understand that. And similarly for Kanban, we have a development team. We don't have any specialized role or dedicated role for Scrum master or product owner, but you might have observed that we have some people named for the Scrum master's activity in a Kanban team, just to facilitate the team who are new to that process and coach you for that purpose. So this is just a fundamental of team. Now if we talk about when we have only two team, it's very easy to manage for any enterprise or any organizations. Now once we start growing up in organizations, we may have multiple teams, and you will be having within your organizations these many teams. You are working on Scrum, you are working on Kanban, and there are so many people involved in developing one program or one value stream. That's pretty much possible. And then in that case, a scaled agile come into picture, how you will be able to coordinate between multiple teams, how you can run your requirements from a value stream level or program level or large solution levels and distribute within a team, and how you can integrate the outcome from each team to back into a product. So let's try to understand how we can do that. So if we have a multiple teams,
I'm
what are the challenges?
sorry to interrupt you, Niladri, but we are not able to see your screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing
Okay.
my screen. Anyone able to see? No. Okay. Okay. I need to click on here. Let me know if you are able to see it right now.
Yes, now we can see. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I think I missed to click one of the button. So this is what we are talking about. We have multiple teams, and once we have multiple teams, that coordinations and synchronizations and cadence become required. And there are a few challenges if you don't have a proper framework to manage all these teams. So the common challenges can be too many team members to collaborate, manage, work together. Lack of common goal. Everyone is working on their own goal, and there are a lot of scattered goal. Maybe there are duplications of the goal each team are doing working on. So there are lots of problems when we think about what exactly the goal all the teams are working for. Similarly, the coordination is missing. If okay, whoever is not speaking, can you just go on mute, because I'm getting some background noises from some places. Then we have development not in synchronization. Everyone is doing on their silos, and the development, which team is working what, those are not in a synchronized way. Then there the dependencies, maybe one team have some features they are working on depend on the features working on another team, and the dependencies is not mapped, not visualized. So those are the different challenges we have, and we'll talk about how scaled agile help you to resolve all those challenges. Teams are not working in a cadence, they are not working in a proper rhythm. And Nitesh, can you also start the recording in case we need it? Let me see if I can record it. Yeah, I think Nitesh,
I'm
you
already
can.
recording. Yeah.
Okay, great. Then we have a multiple source of requirement. If every team is working on their silos, the requirements coming from different product owner, they don't have a synchronizations, and the requirement coming from different sources. Sometimes there are redundancies of requirement, duplications of requirements happening, and that's not properly managed. So let's try to understand what exactly the scaled agile is and how we can counter all those challenges. So if I look into all this team, if we can arrange and put it into one bucket, then we can say, okay, this is one of my program. So within one program, we'll be aligning all those individual teams, and we'll say this is a program, and within this program we have 5 teams or 12, 5 to 12 teams is required. So somewhere around 7, 9, 10, whatever the number of the teams you have, and we will assign some roles to manage that program. So we will be having one role as per scale agile terminology. The person who will facilitate the entire program will be a release train engineer. At a team level, if you look into a team level, we have a scrum master who is facilitating or actually doing the coordination jobs within the team. But within a program, we'll be having a agile release train engineer. We'll be having a system architect who will be looking for the entire architecture for the program, and we'll be having a product management. So there may be 1% or 2% who will be a product managers who will talk about all the big features, not on a story level, but on a feature levels. They will be doing the prioritizations or any dependencies mapping. They will be looking to that. Now this is just a program level. Now once you have multiple programs, we're talking about the scaled agile different frame layers we have. Within a program, there is the involvement of business owner as well. So once we have this particular structure, we can say this is my essential safe. Guys, please go on mute, whoever is not talking. Okay, so now this is my essential safe. This is a primary structure. Without, if you don't have that many team that work together, then you may not be needing a scale agile framework. You may be very much good with that, but as the each organization is growing, at certain point of time, you will realize that there is a need of binding all those team working together for a same program. Now this is just one program. What happened if you have multiple program like this? So we have multiple teams, we make one program. Now if you have multiple programs, we'll again make a bracket of all those program, and we'll call it as a large solution. And in the large solution, we'll be having again some role: solution train engineer, solution architect, solution management, and the customer. This is my large solution. This is how the construct is. And this will call it as a large solution safe. Once you have a large solution safe, we know we have grown a big, but there can be one more layer on top of that. When you have we'll talk about little later about if you have more than that. So normally what happen is there is something called portfolio safe. In the portfolio safe, you don't have a large solution, but you have a portfolio where your CXO people or the board of the members, they directly work with your programs, and that's called portfolio safe. In the portfolio layer, we'll be having epic owners, enterprise architect, we'll be having lean portfolio management. Those all combinedly make it as a portfolio safe. Now this portfolio safe is similar like your uh, previously program level large solution safe. The large solution safe and portfolio safes are kind of same, but only thing is once we look into a big picture, we'll identify what is the difference between large solution and portfolio safe. Now there are some possibilities when we'll talk about we have multiple large solution, then we'll be putting all those large solutions again under a portfolio. But in this case, this structure will call is as a full safe. This is actually a full safe. So previously what we saw, if I go a little back, this is my portfolio safe. In a portfolio safe, we have programs directly under portfolio. If you have multiple large solutions, that means we are having again another portfolio layer on top of it, and we are calling it as a full safe. There is a difference between that. Once we look into a large big picture of the safe construct, we'll able to identify what exactly we are talking about here. So now there is a difference between portfolio safe and full safe. So this right hand side, what we have, that's my full safe, where we are under a portfolio. and there are large solutions. But if you don't have any large solution, then we'll be having a program layer directly under portfolio, and we'll call it as a portfolio safe. The portfolio safe and full safe are two different constructs. Now when we need a large solution, primarily there is no need of having a large solution until you find there is too many people under one program. Then you split those into two different programs and make a layer called large solution. And when you have similar kind of large solution under one portfolio, you will making it as a full safe. That's the basic difference. We'll again visualize that once we look into their big picture of a safe construct. So now we have these many layers. Just look into this. I have a portfolio layers, I have a large solution layer, and I have a program. Then this is how the structure is. If you look into these particular items, I have the top layer is portfolio. Under portfolio, you can have direct program. Under program, you can have teams. Similarly, under portfolio, you can have a large solution. Under large solution, you will always have program, and under program, you will be having team. So at the top of team, every time there should be a program. Above program, it can be a large solution or it can be a portfolio. And based on that, we say which one is portfolio safe, which one is full safe or essential safe. Okay, now we'll talk about what are the roles we have in scaled agile. If I'm talking about 4 different layers, I have a team layers, I have a program layers, I have a large solution layer, and I have a portfolio layers. So as a team, we have Scrum Master, product owner, and development team. From a program layer, I have a release train engineer, I have product management, I have system architect, and business owner. From a large solutions, I have solution train engineer, I have solution management, I have solution architect, and customers. And if I'm talking about portfolio, we have lean portfolio management, we have epic owners, and enterprise architect. These are the primary roles we have at different layers of scaled agile framework. Now, what are the work item? What we work on different layers? If I'm talking about team, we work on user story, we work on enablers. If I'm talking about program, we work under feature and we work under enablers. So if I have a feature, that feature may have multiple user story. And these enabler at different level, they are called that layer enabler. For an example, the extreme left enabler under team is called team level enabler. If it is in program, we call it as a program enabler. And we have capability at large solution and enabler at large solution. And similarly, we have epic at portfolio layer and enabler at portfolio layer. So this enabler under portfolio layer is called portfolio enabler. Enabler at large solution is called large solution enabler. Enablers are kind of non-functional items for any research work that you are do, any analysis you do, those goes into enabler section. Enablers have 4 different categories. For an example, you can talk about exploration enabler or architectural enabler or infrastructure enablers. Those are different areas of work item that's not directly adding a features or functionality to your end product, but that is very essential to enable your product development. Okay, let's talk about how the work item hierarchy we have. So we have epic, that's at portfolio layer, and after that we have a large solution, after that we have a program, and under that we have a team. So we under epic we can directly have capabilities, and under capabilities we can have features, and under features we can have stories, and under stories we will be having tasks. And also we can realize that under epic we can directly have features if we don't have a large solution. At every layers, we'll be having different kind of enablers, portfolio enablers, large solution enablers, program enablers, and team enablers. This is how your work item hierarchy is actually constructed. Now we'll talk about the process, method, and framework that we follow. At a team level, we have Scrum, XP, and Kanban. Scrum or XP you can use, and Kanban we can use. For rest of all the other layers, only Kanban is the process that we'll be following. So Scrum is pretty much defined at the team level. For all the other levels, we'll be using Kanban, and they have a program backlog or large solution backlog or portfolio backlog, or you can say feature backlog, capability backlog, epic backlog. That's way the entire work structure is there. One feature can have multiple stories. One capabilities can have multiple features, and one epic can have multiple capabilities. So, and these are different backlogs we'll be having. Now the prioritization techniques, what prioritizations we follow at a team level, there can be multiple prioritizations we do: affinity analysis, Moscow ranking, dependency mapping, PI planning. Those are the different prioritization. PI plan means, PI plan is whatever you have actually done in your PI planning, will treat that as my priority and execute my iterations based on that. But at your program level, we use a prioritization technique that called WSJF, weighted sorted job first. There is a calculation for that. We may not be able to cover that, but high level, that's you actually look into the amount of work, business value, cost of delay, all those values comes in, and you calculate which feature will go first. And large solution level also, for capabilities, you do WSJF. But at the epic level, you do the prioritization based on the financial and strategic decision. You will prioritize which item you will be prioritizing for your development. And the portfolio layers, primarily your CXO or board of the member or the big people, they take the decisions which item will go first and which item they will be developing for. Now, time boxing, how the time is actually boxed. We for a team level, it's recommended we go for a 2-week iterations or sprint. We don't say sprint in SAFe construct, because as per SAFe, iteration is the best word. At a program level, we work on 10-week program increment. We'll talk about how exactly that works. At a large solution level, we work on align with the program increment. So based on your program increment duration, your large solutions have some pre-program increment and post-program increment, and that's way that's entire time box is designed. And portfolio, it's a continuous flow. We don't directly follow any of the time box. It have a Kanban, and we follow based on their workflow, like funneling, budgeting, and everything they have, and they continuously flow. Once an once an epic is reached to a development ready state, we start working on a capability or features at large solution or program level respectively. Now let's try to understand how exactly that's happened. So this is your iterations and program increment time box. This is where we have 10 iterations that I am actually planning. If I visualize that I have 10 iterations, so team 1, team 2, team 3, there will be multiple teams working for different iterations. Now I know this is at every iterations, I will be doing my analysis, development, testing, and many other activities within that iteration. And at the for the iterations, we'll start the iteration with capacity planning, iteration planning, and end the iteration with iteration demo review and iteration retrospective. Similarly, we'll try to make something release level activity, that will be deploy something into the production, and based on the release decided, we'll do the releases. At the every iterations, we follow daily stand up. This is throughout a long 10 iteration plan for multiple teams if you have. Now let's try to understand, when we talk about scaled agile, it's make a bucket of 5 iteration duration, means it's a 10-week. If you think about each iteration is 2 weeks, we bucket it for 5 different iterations into into that one bucket. So one, and each bucket we call it as a program increment. Now if I look into this, I can say, okay, the first bucket what you are looking at is my program increment 1, then second one is program increment 2, and simultaneously you will be having 3, 4, 5 program increment. Now let's try to understand what we do in program increment. So ideally, we mm, we plan program increment. Someone is breathing very heavily. Can you please go on mute or move the mic little far from your mouth? Okay, in program increment 1, we actually do construction for only 4 iteration. Even this is a 10-week time, but in this 10-week, we take 2 weeks of iterations, count of 4. That means we will be doing construction for 8 weeks for every team. That's what my program increment is. And there is a gap between iteration 4 and iteration 5, because we will do something else on the last 2 weeks of every program increment. Let's see what exactly we'll do over there. So every time we start our program increment by PI planning, right? And that PI planning is actually part of your program increment. What we end with on a program increment, we end with as innovation and adoption, that is innovation and planning, or that's called IP iteration, where we do inspect and adapt as well. So and the durations we are not doing construction, the entire 2 weeks we spend for feedback, innovations and planning, or learning, inspect and adapt for the iteration, for the PI you have completed for the last 4 sprint, and also you spend to plan for the upcoming 4 iteration. That's what we do in between of these any 2 iteration, and this particular area we call as IP iteration, innovation and planning iteration. So we have 4 constructive iterations where we do the construction, and at the end we do an IP iteration where we merge 2 increment. We do a root cause analysis, feedback for the past PI planning or past PI increment, and we do a planning for the upcoming PI. Now let's try to understand the iteration program increment, how the times are aligned. So if I'm talking about, I know all the team are working with their iterations at the program level. We are working on some features. So we will be having P1 and P2, and we'll name our iteration as P1.1, P1.2, P1.3, P1.4, and then we'll start the next PI, where we say my program increment number is P2, my iteration number will be P2.1, P2.2, and P2.3, and so on. And every team will follow the same patterns. What we'll be exactly working on this program increment will work on features, but those features will be validated by by integrations from all the teams and a integrated system demo. So at the end of every iterations, we'll be having a integrated system demo, and similarly, once you will end up, you will be having a full PI demo. So at the end of every iterations, we are having the integrations between all teams output or the development, and we'll having a integrated system demo at your program layer. Now let's try to understand what we are exactly doing. So at a program increment, we will find out, okay, there are 1 feature that we'll be working on, and team 1 will be working on those stories under that feature 1. Then we may have another features, and the team 1 will be working on few stories under those features, and this is how you are doing your PI planning. Now if you have noticed that all the features are ending at that iteration where the last story of that feature is planned for, and that's way we'll be planning for different teams and their iteration. So this is how you will be planning. When you are doing your planning, you will be pick up the features, and the team will be aligning the stories for that particular PI's iteration. So if you have multiple iteration, and based on when your feature is ending, you will be planning for different team having different iteration planning. Now if you have planned like that, I know when you work as a team, you create a Scrum board or Kanban board. Similarly, that I can say a team board. If I visualize this particular team's planning in a team 1 board, it will be something look like this is my iteration 1 and starting this one, and this is my iteration 2 feature. So I'm just showing you 2 iterations for team 1. So team 1 have 2 different iterations, and the board will look like if you have a workflow like define, in progress, completed, accepted. Story 1, 2, and 4, those are in different state, and I'm just showing this feature they are working on, feature 1. And in iteration 2, they are working on feature 1 for the story 4, and feature 2 they are working on 15 and 16 over here. So that's how you will be, each team will be having their own board, and they will be working on the stories for the feature they have planned for. Similarly, we'll be having iteration 3, that is future not yet started. So at the very beginning, you will be plan for this one. So I have something in progress, and for future 3, this 26 and 5 is not yet started, but my board is ready. Now, if I'm talking about a program board, I know this is a team level board we just saw, but at a program level board, we'll talk about which team is working on which features and where they are ending, means that feature will be ending at certain iteration. And if you have any significant dependencies with one feature and another features, you will mark that on your program board. And that's the physical board we'll be having, where you can mark different features with their dependencies. This feature 2 is coming at iteration 3, because if I see the feature 2, the last story going into iteration 3. This feature 3 is also going into iteration 3, because the last story under that feature is ending on iteration 3. Feature 5 is in iteration 4, because the last story under that feature is ending on iteration 4. And that's where your board will come up, and for your management review, this board shows when we'll be able to complete this feature, and if there are any dependencies, how you will be visualizing that. Now we'll talk about planning and defining common goals. If I'm talking about team level and program level, at the team level, we talk about iteration goal. Every time you start a sprint or iteration, you define iteration goal. When you talk about a program, you make a PI objectives for that program. PI is program increment objectives. So I have all the team, I have a sprint goal. They have a goal for every sprint when they start. And at the PI level, I'll be having a PI objectives. So entire program will be having one objectives come from all the teams, different objectives or goals they have. And that's how you will be having a goal, a common goal for all the team, and a common goal for all the team members under one team. Okay, so let's talk about the ART, the ART, Agile Release Train. What exactly the Agile Release Train is. So let's assume in your program level, you have multiple features and enablers that's ready in your program backlog for or feature backlog. This is the all features we need to develop, and this is a part of your program backlog. Now we have multiple teams. Those are carrying the development as individual teams, and that will be working for that program. How it exactly work? Every team, they have different iterations, and they will be planning for that. And I know the first time I have a PI1, and secondly I have a PI2. Why we call it as an agile release train? So I have this above layer is a program layer, and the below layer is my team layer. So I have agile release train where it combines all the team and carry the features with the train and proceed further. So if I'm talking about my next station is PI1 completion, and then my another station will be PI2 station, I will be carrying few of the features. So this is my PI planning. During PI planning, I'll pick few features that my team can deliver. And then we'll start our PI. The time when we are doing the planning, we have the stories planned for different team and different iterations under different features. Those are the different features aligned with different features have different stories and distributed within the team. That's how we have done our PI planning. Once you start the execution, your train will start moving towards those 10 weeks duration, and the team will continuously working on those different items that you have, and they will move it from to do to done. And once your PI is over, you will see all these stories are actually at done state from their particular iteration. And that's how your art executes. Now we'll talk about little more on the agile release train. So we have people. How many people we may have? That's agile release train is of 5 to 12 members, and 50 to 125 approximately team members we need that plans, commits, and execute together. We have a PI within agile release train that's called program increment. That we so far we were talking about what exactly the program increment is. There are lots of synchronizations we do, synchronization between different scrum masters we have, synchronizations between all the product owners, and we'll talk about that, what are those. We have one common missions. We have a big PI objectives, a list of PI objectives for the entire release train, and that also another goal for all the teams when they are making their own team level goals. And this is when we talk about agile release train, we define new functionality, we implement, then we give a acceptance test for our PI objectives, or whatever the commitment you have on the features, and then finally we deploy, we make the final big product at the end of every PI. And this is called agile release train, and we do program increment. How will be binding program and team layer? So that's very important, that we have a program layer and team layer. So there is a relation between the roles we have. If we try to understand the roles, if I'm talking about facilitations, we talk about work item alignment, we'll talk about development integrations, we'll talk about integrated planning and integrated feedback loop. Those are the different areas how we can plan. So if I'm talking about, there is one event called Scrum of Scrum, where all the Scrum Master connect with RTE, and that facilitations is coordinated and facilitated or routed or managed by your release train engineer. That's how all the roles are actually planned. Similarly, if I'm talking about PO Sync, we have a product management and we have product owners at the team level, and they are connected together, go for a PO sync on a defined schedule twice a week or once a week based on whatever you have decided for your program increment, and that synchronization happens. If I'm talking about development integration, every team, they are doing their development, but they integrate at every iteration and do a system level demo at a program layer. Similarly, if I'm talking about PI planning, the team, they are actually planning for individual iteration planning, but all those planning is actually initiated from a PI planning level. We have agile release train from all the members of that particular agile release train. They plan for their PI and then do the iteration level idea what they will be working on, then fine tune at the iteration level with iteration planning. When you talk about inspect and adapt, the integrated feedback loop, we have different teams, they are actually working on their own retrospective and review, but at the end of every 4 iterations, they do an IP iterations and do a combined feedback loop for all the team, and that's called my integrated feedback loop for all the team. The first 2 events that we are talking about, facilitations by a Scrum Master through Scrum of Scrum and PO Sync, is called Art Sync. That's my ART Sync. Okay, there are a few principles. I will not go through all these principles. There are 12 principles. There are 12 principles in Agile, but here also we have 9 principles: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, this is Agile Manifesto principle. It will be 12 principle. If I'm talking about scale principles of safe, lean, Agile practices, there are 9 principles you will see, and I'm not going through all the principles. Whenever you get a chance, you can read about those principles and find out how exactly this principle works. SAFe actually inherited from the Agile Manifesto and changed their principle based on how it can be best fitted into a large organizations where you are doing a scaled Agile, or you are bringing multiple teams together. Now we'll talk about values, competencies, and the lean mindset based on the SAFe 4.6, because we reached to 5.0 and we talk about what the differences we got in 5.0. So there are 4 core values we have: built-in quality, program execution, alignment, and transparency. There are 5 competencies as of now for 4.6: lean portfolio management, business solutions and engineering. Then we have DevOps and release on demand, team and technical agility, lean agile leadership. We also have something called House of Lean. You can actually download the entire brochure from this particular link. The House of Lean is a basic structure where we talk about leadership is the base, and there are 4 pillars: respect for people and culture, flow, innovations, and relentless improvement. When all these pillars comes in top of a leadership or supported by a leadership, you will get the value, and this particular structure is called SAFe House of Lean. We'll talk about little history, that it was started on 2011, and 2019 we reached to 4.6 version, and right now in 2020 we got SAFe 5.0. There are basic difference on SAFe 5.0. Let's see what exactly the difference is. This is the big picture what we have. Introducing SAFe 5.0 operating system for business agility. They got few differences. We'll quickly go through with the differences. They introduce a business agility altogether a different areas of learning and implementing. Their entire focus is onto the going into the business agility. The competency span is actually moved from right to left, and they have switched this particular your lean agile leadership is still here, but your competencies is actually moved from those actually changed from one place left to right, and this one is actually moved right to left. Your competencies what we had 4.6 was only 5 competencies, but we introduces or SAFe introduces 2 more competencies over here and renamed 2 more competencies. So these are the 2 new core competencies they have added: organizational agility and continuous learning. Those are the 2 competencies they have added for the entire framework, and they have renamed 2 competencies like this. Previous business solution and lean system engineering, it was the previous name. They have changed it to enterprise solution delivery, and previously it was the another one is DevOps and release on demand. They have changed it to agile product delivery. The internal most of the content is same for that particular competencies, but the name has changed. They also have introduced a overview tab on your large solutions where they talked about all those 7 competencies, and each competencies have 3 different dimensions. I'm not going very deep into what are those dimensions now, but these are what we have for now. The 7 competencies of business agility, these are the competencies. I am not going very deep into it. There are 2 sides of these competencies. One is execution side, another is strategy side. And we have enterprise solution, agile product delivery, and team and technical agility that I am not going into details. This is your
Okay.
big picture of essential SAFe combines program and team labels. Earlier we had a team label separately. Now they says, okay, there is no team layers. We'll be having the first layer called essential SAFe. If we don't have any program, then we don't need any SAFe. We will start with essential SAFe, then we'll have a large solution, that's an optional one, and then we'll have a portfolio SAFe. Now they have introduced a business team instead of saying it as a development teams. They change it to agile teams, and they introduce this agile teams is along with business development, ops, and support. Those are the changes I'm talking about. They have introduced a customer centricity section where they talk about design thinking, how exactly design thinking helps agility on a large enterprise. And also they have introduced a continuous delivery in iteration. So over here every iterations you are doing your automations by introducing DevOps and doing your continuous integration, continuous development, and continuous exploration within your team, and continuously you are doing irrespective of end of the iteration. So there was one more change when you create business objectives or PI objectives. Earlier they used to say stretch objectives. Now they change the name with the uncommitted objectives, because the stretch objectives purpose was to show what are the objectives you are planning but not committing. So that's why they have changed the objectives name as uncommitted. They have revised their enterprise strategy formulation guidelines. They introduce a portfolio context and distinctive competence in the enterprise strategy formulation. Focus on the portfolio visions. They have introduced in their big picture that from the strategic themes, we'll first have a portfolio vision, and from there we'll be having a portfolio backlog or portfolio Kanban, and we'll go for a budgeting with our 4 guardrails. Now, portfolio visions added earlier, it was TOES analysis. Now, earlier it was SWOT analysis. Now they have changed it to TOES analysis, where they talked about diversions and conversions concept. They have some current state, they make different evaluations and by making some divergent ideas, and then once they found it, they make a final decision by converging those different thinkings and make a future state portfolio canvas. Those are the changes they have actually introduced. They have enhanced a safe lean startup epic life cycle, and this life cycle they have introduced preserve options when you are in implementing step of MVP. They enhance safe lean startup epic cycle as well. So I know this is too much for if you are just watching for a scale agile for now, but these are the very high level differences. If anyone have got an idea 4.6, you can understand from this particular discussion that what exactly we have got into for 5.0. Now, there are a few changes they have made on your safe lean of house. Within that, we have changed something called innovation and planning, and few areas they have changed. I'm not going into deep of that. They have added one more principle. Earlier, there was 9 principle. Now, at 5.0, we have 10 principle. This is organized around values. Now, enhance, someone is putting some line over here. I'm not sure who. Okay, so enhance implementation roadmap. They have changed few new certifications within it, and they have changed the roadmaps accordingly by putting those certifications or role within that particular roadmaps. Now, new measures and grow assessment and practices they have introduced within their big picture, where you can do the multiple measurements within Scaled Agile. Now, I believe that you already realize it's little too big, so that's why we have multiple different certifications. You should need not to be worried about all those certification. Based on your role, you will be selecting your certifications. So why safe certifications? We can actually talk about uh, the scaled agile certification is nowadays is well organized throughout all enterprise, and everywhere you go for interview or job or looking implementing a big teams, you need the support of scaled agile. And when we go for a scaled agile certifications, you not only just get the certification, you also get access to their reach community access, where there are multiple case studies and discussions are there, and you can actually find out your particular situation how that can be resolved. And there are many other benefits. You can actually go through Scale Agile website and find out why this is important. So there are a few popular certifications Scale Agile provide. One is Safe for Team or Safe Scrum Master, Safe Advanced Scrum Master, Product Owner, Product Management. Then we have Leading Safe. We have Safe engineers or Agile software engineer under Safe. We have Safe Architecture certification. We have Safe DevOps practitioner certification. We have Lean Portfolio Management certification, then Agile Product and Solution Management. There are multiple certifications we have because Scale Agile is that big. One person cannot manage or work on all this. You can find out your role, which one is best fitted for you. I am just giving a very popular 4 certifications. What is the difference and who will be get benefit from there? So if I'm talking about SSM, this is a new Scrum Master who need to perform the role, existing Scrum Master who would like to understand their role in the context of a safe, and team leads who want to understand the Scrum Master role, safe release train engineer who want to coach Scrum Master, they can all go for a Scrum Master role. POPM is a product owner, product managers, whoever is having an goal of going towards product management role. You can go for product managers, product line managers, product owners, business analysts, solution managers, portfolio managers, program managers, PMO personnel. These all people can go for product owner and product management role. SA is the leading safe. Primarily, it goes for executive leaders, manager, directors, CIOs, and VPs. Development, QA, and infrastructure management can also go for leading safe, because leading safe is a training you got the full idea. It's a 2-day training. All those are the 2-day training where we do lots of simulations and exercise to make you understand this is how a scale agile work, and for targeting to that particular role, that certification you are going for. Then we have portfolio managers, PMOs, enterprise system or solution architect, they can go for that. If I'm talking about advanced Scrum Master, this is for existing Scrum Master or team leads, project managers, other assuming the role of an agile team facilitator in a safe or enterprise context. engineering and development manager responsible for agile execution and coaching, any agile coaches, agile program manager, then prospective safe release train engineers. That's a transition step from scrum master to release train engineers. Those are few popular training that we conduct, or in the industry you'll find people are conducting, and these are who will be able to, who will the right fit for which certification. This particular area can help you out. Now, we also conduct our Scale Agile certification training within India, Delhi, Pune, Hyderabad, Bangalore, different location. And these are our upcoming schedule that we have. So right now we are in February. February is already in. I know this is little scattered. It's little difficult to understand. So we are conducting our Safe Scrum Master right now. Today we have a first day, that's 29th of February, and the next one will be 1st of March. Our upcoming is on 29th. Okay, this is again 29th February. On 14th and 15th March, we'll go for POPM. 28th and 29th March, we'll go for Leading Safe in Delhi. Then we have 11 and 12 April, we'll go for Advanced Scrum Master in Delhi. Then we have planned for 25 and 26 April for Leading Safe in Pune. There's another plan we have for Hyderabad that is not yet decided the date, so that's why it's not here. Okay, so I am done with talking about what is Scale Agile framework, who can go for what certifications, and when we are conducting our next certifications. Now I can take some questions if anyone have any.
So guys, do you have any question for Niladri? Abhimanyu, Ajay, Anand, Anjul, Ashutosh, Itti, Mayank, Nandini, Nayan, Nikhil, Pavan, Prakash, Prashant, Ravi, Richa, Santosh, Silpa, or Smanka. Any question you have, guys?
Hey Niladri, this is Anand. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, this is a great presentation and a great introduction. Tell me a little bit about, like, we have other trainings like TOGAF and also the PMO certification.
Yeah,
So you
so
covered.
yeah, these are the
So
certifications we have. Means Scale
hold
Agile from.
on. Sorry, Nilad, let me complete my question. So so you touched upon the portfolio, the board, those are all big words, right?
Right.
So we have all these frameworks, methodologies, and you also touched upon design thinking and whatnot. What I'm seeing from your presentation is the SAFe covers the breadth of all these for the enterprise, but the depth is very important, correct?
Right. So
So,
okay, carry on, please.
I just want to know your training will cover the breadth of all this, but I want to know if you have any other trainings for each categories of the group, let's say advanced Scrum, or for architects, or for portfolio managers, or for the executives, right? Because this is like where you talk to in a framework covering the enterprise, but I did not see the depth.
Yeah, okay. See, what I actually covered the entire structure of Scale Agile in just 1 hour. There are, each training is designed for minimum 2 days. There are few trainings, those are for 3 days. For an example, if you're talking about lean portfolio management, it's a 3 days. In 3 days, we talked about that portion. It's not again the full scale agile we talk about. We talk about the areas a lean portfolio manager should know about. If you're talking about leading safe, we talk about that particular certification scope of scaled agile within that 2 days. So whenever
Okay.
We do a certification, we go very details and deep and lots of extensive exercise within that 2 days, and 2 days is kind of a 16 hours, and people says the content is too high for these 2 days because that much contents we actually cover. So we give, based on that certification we have selected, all inputs required to perform that particular role. Is that answer your question, Anand?
Yes, it did. So I know what I'm getting out of this. Okay. Good presentation. It's good overview of the safe
Sure. Thank
practice.
you.
Thank you.
Anyone have any other questions you want to ask?
Yes, yes, Asutosh this side.
Yes, Sudarshan.
And I just want to know one thing, like, suppose in my team, not my team, in my organization, I'm working in R&D division, and there are 6 different, teams working together in order to finalize, suppose, some product.
Right.
So in every team, there is, every team is having near about 5 to 12 people. Some teams is having 5 members, someone is having 12 members, and every team is having their own Scrum Master.
Okay.
But our final product is like something. Every team is working on their own product, and somehow these products are related to the other products.
Okay.
Ultimately, we are finally giving one product, but that product is having different sub products. So
Okay.
for different sub products, individual teams are working. So sometimes what happens, like, due to lack of communication, and because these sub products are dependent on each one. So
Mhm.
just wanted to know that how this safe will work on it, and what
Okay,
role this.
so I understand what exactly the problem statement you are coming for. Even all those different teams are working for different or independent product, but somehow those products are interrelated and making a final big product, or some solutions they are creating. Now, when we talk about scaled agile, it's there is no project, or if I'm talking about product, each product is come from one value stream. That value stream is actually come from the ideas of the CEOs, that this is your value stream, and to implement this value stream we may need these systems, and these systems will be developed by 5 or 6 teams. Each team will get different epic that they think this is my product, but internally those all a product is targeting one value stream. So
Right.
if you construct one product and think on from that value stream perspective, you can have multiple features under that value stream. You distribute those features into different team and make that integrations at a PI level, that okay, whatever the features each team is working on, that primarily at the end of every 4 iterations will be integrated, and we can do a integrations level increment, means PI level increment.
Okay. Okay, so just wanted to know, because most of the time, what happens, our final delivery date, hampers most of the time, due to sometimes we receive the correct, we receive the information little bit late, or something we have developed, but they are still in the progress, on which we are dependent on. So sometimes, due to this, the delivery get delayed, or we missed some features.
Yeah, so that's not only in your case, in the industry, many
So,
organization is facing the same
so
problem,
yeah,
and that's happened because of we are not following the principles or values that religiously. Because when you do a transformation from any different work of way to another way of working, you'll feel there is a storming stage when you are forming a new structure, and then you start the transforming, you reach to a storming stage, you will face there is a problem, and that's the fear factor for all organizations to move the transition. But once you are into that following that principles and values, you are following that cadence, you are following you are doing that synchronization, you are having your PI planning where you have the readiness for upcoming 4 iterations, you will realize that you are not having that problem anymore. Your product managers is aligned with your solution managers and your epic owners, so all the synchronizations is there. So you will not be able to face that once you'll start following all the values and principles of Scale Agile if you want to do multiple teams working together.
So just one more thing, like, because I just had a discussion regarding this to my director, and he asked me to come with some a good solution. Like last week I had a discussion regarding the same with my director, and he asked me to give me one
So,
presentation.
Asutosh,
Okay.
I can understand it's actually going a little specific to your organizations. If we can have the discussion offline,
Okay.
we
Okay.
can talk about in much details on that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Hey, hi Neela, Mayank here from Pune. So I
Hey,
have a
Mike.
question. So I'm already a certified Scrum Master. I have a PSM certification. So what will be this advanced Scrum Master, help me to grow up in the industry? Is it
See,
different from the Scrum ORG or advanced version of the Scrum Master?
not only the advanced Scrum Master, even the safe Scrum Master is much more advanced than your CSM or PSM, because CSM and PSM is primarily targeting a team level Scrum Master's idea. But once you will look into, even if you look for a Scrum Master of safe Scrum Master, or even if you can go for a leading safe is give you a overall managerial ideas. If you want to go for a manager in an industry, or if you want to lead the Scale Agile transformation within an organization, leading safe can definitely work. And when I'm talking about any safe certification, whether it is a safe Scrum Master or safe Advanced Scrum Master or leading safe, all are much more bigger than your CSM and PSM, because it talks about multiple team, how you will be organizing and working with a multiple team, how we'll synchronize, how we'll make those continuous integrations. All it talks about that. So definitely it's much more higher than your current CSM or PSM or any team level certification.
Okay, so they have any specific eligibility criteria or prerequisites?
No, you can, if you already have some Scrum Master ideas from the basic agility, you can definitely apply for that.
Okay, and how much the cost it is?
I think you can connect with Nitesh. He will talk about all the costing. You can have the discussions offline, and you can talk with, he will give you all the cost details.
Sure, no issue. Thank you.
Yeah,
Hi, Niladri. This is Nandini. I have another question for you.
sure.
For someone who is a Scrum Master, already a certified Scrum Master, and want to move towards the product owner managerial side, then which certification is advisable?
See, if you want to go on a product management, it's always advisable that product managers are someone who have good on business analysis or domain. They have good understanding on the domain knowledge. So if you have that, POPM will be the best for you. You are calling from which location?
Not Delhi.
Delhi. I think POPM, you can go for product owner and product management, where it talks about how safe, in a safe construct, how product owner and product management got the ideas from CEOs or a solution team and make features, then distribute into stories through product owners and reach to the team. If you have some domain knowledge, or if you have some interest on the domain knowledge, you can definitely go for POPM, and using those domain knowledge, you can act as a product owner or product management.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Niladri, Mayank again.
Yeah.
So I have another question. What is difference between the system demo and a sprint demo?
Okay, so sprint demo, if there are 3 teams, there will be 3, so there is actually no terms called sprint demo. We have a sprint review. Within sprint review, we do a demonstration as a part of our sprint review.
Correct.
Right. So in the system demo is something when you are integrating multiple team, each team have their own demonstration to their product owners or to their respective stakeholders at the end of every iteration. But system demo is something where you integrate the product or deliverables from all the 3 or 5 or 9 teams together and giving a integrated system demonstration to your bigger audience.
To our stakeholder or portfolio
Stakeholders,
manager
business
or
owner, business executive, whoever is involved.
Okay. And who will be the responsible of giving this? A product owner or you know something
There,
different?
if you look into the roles, there is a product management and there is a business owners team at the program layer. So the product management will be doing the demo. Now again, it's not defined that who will give the demo. Maybe there is a RTE or some system architect or some other system engineering team is there who will be give the demo from a system perspective, or they can ask some of the experienced person from one team or two teams to participate on the demonstration.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Is there any other questions anyone have?
Hello.
Yep.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Hi. This is Nikhil calling from Mysore location.
Okay,
So
Nikhil.
actually, currently I'm working as a developer in an agile team which I have joined recently. But I aspire to be a Scrum Master down the line of my career. So what
Okay.
can be the prerequisites or the stepping stones for me which I can?
Have you worked on any Scrum or Agile environment earlier?
Yeah, I have worked on, and this is the second project that I'm working on.
So you worked as an developer, but you have an idea how Scrum work or how Agile
Yeah.
works, right?
Yeah. I have an experience on that.
Yeah. So I think if you have a desire to work as a Scrum Master, Safe
Yeah.
Scrum Master will be the best fit for you.
Okay. And what can be the prerequisites so that I can start getting up
The
from day
fundamental
one?
knowledge of Scrum will be sufficient enough.
Okay, and there is no, technicalities involved regarding
No,
the.
you don't need to have any technical knowledge.
Okay, but
It's
having a
nice
domain
to
knowledge
have,
for the
but it's
business.
not mandatory.
Yeah, because coming from a technical background, it will always be there with me. So if I wanted to know if you could add to the knowledge that I'll have or the experience that could add
Yeah,
to the.
see, if you have some technical knowledge, I am not sure what technology knowledge you have, but
Hmm.
there is one concept of DevOps where we
Okay.
need lots of automations. Maybe you can do a test automations, you can do a integrations of through automations. There are different tools like Jenkins or GitHub where you can do automations. Your technical skills you can use to automate the DevOps process.
Okay, so
And
there is
if you
no
have,
specific channel I can carry this aspiration to take care in the future, right?
I didn't get your question. Can you please
There
repeat?
is no specific prerequisite for it. I can carry this aspiration and go for the safe scrum that you're talking about, right?
Right, right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Niladri, and thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other questions anyone have?
Yeah. So
Hey,
Anand,
Niladri, I'll just, sorry, this is Anand again. I just want to take a minute. So see, you have raised a lot of curiosity, right? But there is different subject areas, like advanced Scrum, product managers, portfolio managers, program managers, and executives like for the board who represents and communicate. Will there be any follow-up training specifically to each of these groups so that they know that the prerequisite and the certification, what you will be covering, so that it goes a little bit in depth?
Yeah, I
Is there
think
any plans of
Nitesh is
doing that?
actually creating a WhatsApp group, and all the future communication when we'll be having next webinar or next training or what the upcoming training is coming in, Nitesh will post on that WhatsApp group. So you can join that WhatsApp group so that we can get the up-to-date communications or any changes or any upcoming events coming up.
Perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Anand, you can ping on the same WhatsApp group. I will connect you with that WhatsApp group.
Cool. Thank you.
Nitesh.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Nitesh, Nikhil again. Actually, I wanted to know if it would be possible for you to share this presentation with us, because the content was really helpful, but we could not. We could concentrate only on the few aspects which were highlighted. So we like to. Personally, I would like to go through the content so that it could hone the
Sure,
knowledge.
I'll make a PDF of this and send it to Nitesh. Nitesh will circulate whoever you already have provided your email IDs. Nitesh will circulate with that.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Nitesh.
So Anjul, Nikhil, and Anand, Ashutosh, Mayank, Nandini, Nayan, Nikhil, Pankaj, Prakash, Prashant, Ravi, Santosh, Shilpa, Smanika, and one is a Veer. Any question for Niladri? Any query? Or for me?
Hello, hi Niladri.
Hi, who's this?
Yeah, this is Shweta. Actually, I missed your session. So can you please send me to my mail whatever you preparing this recording session or something PDF?
Sure, Nitesh will take care of that. Nitesh is also coordinating that entire session. So I'll give this to Nitesh, and Nitesh will forward it to all the participants if we have your email ID.
Yeah, I have already sent out an email ID in this group.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Then I think Nitesh will take care of that.
Yeah, so guys who need this presentation, just ping individual on the same WhatsApp. I will share the details.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more question, guys? Any of you?
Nope, we are good.
Okay, fantastic. So I again say thank you to Niladri that he has taken time for us and just let us know what is the difference, because nowadays we are really confused with whether we should go for a Scrum Master or go for Product Owner or for Agilist or Advanced Scrum Master, because in the market we only can see the so many pamphlets, so many advertisement, do Scrum Master, do this, but no one is there who can guide us regarding this. And this presentation, this webinar was really very helpful for us. So a big thanks to Niladri for taking time and making this presentation.
Thank you.
And thank you to all for joining. And believe me, this shows that you guys are really very serious, because in this group I can see in webinar approximately on an average 20 people were there of a group of WhatsApp where 104 people are present in that WhatsApp group and 20 has joined, which shows how much serious you guys are with your career, right? So I really appreciate to each one of you that you have joined the webinar. It means you guys are looking for something to change your career and want to make a milestone, achieve a milestone in your career. So thanks a lot to all of you that joined. And thank you again.
Yeah, thanks, Nitesh, for conducting such a wonderful webinar for us. This was a good one, sir. Thanks, Niladri also.
Thank you
so much. And I just one last request to each one of you. It will take hardly 30 seconds for you guys. Just share your feedback in the same WhatsApp group. So people who have not joined because of some reason that they were some other priorities, so they can watch the video at least. So I will request to each one of you, just take 30 seconds and share your feedback in the same WhatsApp group.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you all. Thanks for connecting.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Nitesh.
Good night.